to the Buy Box Bandits podcast.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Buy Box Bandits podcast. We have a super special episode today, as I kind of say every episode. We got the man Profit Plug, Angelo, who has over 150,000 followers on Instagram, almost a million, like 975, 980,000 followers on TikTok, and actually got his start reselling, doing Amazon the way we kind of all do and all got started with books and stuff like that, and now has kind of expanded into much more entrepreneurial ventures. So we're very excited to have him on to talk about all that stuff tonight. So Angelo, we're excited to have you here, man.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I'm flattered to be on this podcast.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's interesting kind of looking at you from in like a long form setting, like straight on with the camera. It's completely different than normal short form, which us and hundreds of thousands of other people enjoy consuming. But yeah, so how did you get started with everything? Because you're doing a lot of stuff that's not necessarily reselling related, content creation, building a really massive audience and everything. But we've known each other for a few years, and I know you got started with reselling and all that. That was your entrance point into it. So do you want to take us back to when you were just the plug before the profit part, and just take us back to
Just to preface, that's just the name.
True. Yeah.
It's just a name. So
True.
it wasn't a plug after the profit, but yeah. So I basically just started reselling just kind of just out of curiosity. You know, I started watching Trash Talk by Gary Vee. And then one night I was just like, I got nothing better else to do. I'll try it out. So then just like one Saturday morning, I went out on garage sales. I bought like this bubble blower, and then I bought it for like $1, sold it on eBay the next for like 15. And then I was just immediately hooked because I never really knew any other way to make money other than just like a regular job. And at that time I had like three part-time jobs. So making money outside of that and like doing that in like 5 minutes worth of actual work, it kind of blew my mind. And that's kind of where it all started, kind of just spiraling from there as I started getting more curious in that space and curious about entrepreneurship in general, and then kind of just domino effect into where I'm at right now.
You were a lifeguard at the time, right? We have a lifeguard as a host here, Danny.
Yeah, I was a lifeguard as well. Fucking hated
it. Yeah, I was a lifeguard. I basically worked whenever my bosses wasn't there because I hated it too. I worked like early in the morning at 4 o'clock or like 10 o'clock at night, and it was terrible. So, and I was only making like 14 an hour, which is still, I guess, pretty good, but it was definitely not worth how much time I spent at the pool.
It's boring too. It's very boring.
Very boring.
And this
Very
is
boring.
about 2 years ago, right? Fall 2019.
2 years ago? I don't know. It was like 2 years ago. Yeah.
Because
2
I
years
think
ago.
me and you started posting right around the same time.
Yeah,
I remember
Since
the origination of Profit Plug, like in the very, very beginning. I was following Angelo way back when, before he was who he is now, I guess. So eBay was your first platform?
Yeah, eBay is my first. I did it the summer of my senior year in high school. And yeah, that's my first platform. I would just literally just go to garage sales and thrift stores and just buy whatever I could. I would scan everything and then just put on eBay. And that was like my first kind of introduction into reselling itself.
Yeah, it's
And
interesting.
so how long were you working with eBay until you got accustomed or got exposed to Amazon?
So I did that to that summer. And then when I went to college, you know, I was like, I want to keep it up. I really enjoyed it, but I had no car. I still didn't have that much money because I really wasn't still like not good at managing my money. I was spending it on like food and clothes and other stuff. So I pretty much had no money, no cars, and now I had even less time because in college. So I started looking at like different alternatives, like different ways I could resell. And that's kind of where I stumbled upon Amazon FBA, and more specifically selling books. And that's where, you know, I've started to find for Miles, other people, Reezy resells and everything like that. And I kind of just started like immersing myself into Amazon. And that's kind of like selling on eBay and garage selling is one thing, but Amazon's a whole different beast.
Yeah, a lot more rules on Amazon, a lot more like politics to kind of get through.
Yeah, there's a lot more stuff you can do, a lot more, or at least, yeah, a lot more stuff you can do.
And scalability and all that stuff. Definitely. So
Exactly.
kind of, like, you don't have a ton like reselling going on currently. You're mainly focusing on like the content side of things.
Yeah. So I'm not really going as hard as I was
Yeah.
like a few months ago or like a year ago. That's just because yeah, I'm focusing way more on social media and kind of like my personal brand.
Yeah.
And so I'm trying to venture into other platforms and stuff like that. But I'm still a heavy advocate for reselling, and I
Oh,
still
yeah.
do resell myself. I still have books that I sent in, and I still do like online arbitrage all the time. And it really does not take that much effort, or like not effort, but like it doesn't really take too
Once you
much
get it,
time.
there's a high learning
Yeah,
curve, but once you know it, it's just rinse and repeat. You know
Yeah.
what I
yeah.
mean?
And like even though I'm not doing it as crazy, I'm not like hitting like crazy numbers. I take care of my utilities. I cover
Yeah,
my grocery
I always
bills
see the
from.
Instagram post you make that.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
utilities
true.
paid.
Yeah, it's like it takes a couple clicks. It just takes a little bit effort, and there's my utility bills. Like it doesn't take that much for it to like make a pretty substantial like difference into your finances.
Yeah, definitely. And for someone who's unfamiliar with your content, do you want to kind of describe like what you do, what you post and everything?
Yeah, so basically I'm like a finance business all around money content creator. I post a lot about that type of stuff on TikTok and Instagram. And I kind of just started off posting just kind of as like a as an outlet of my curiosity of this
Yeah.
whole entire space. Because pretty much I would just like read books, watch YouTube videos, and then I'd be like, oh, this is interesting. I feel like people would want to know that. So then I create a little video on it. And then people started catching on. People were like, oh yeah, I should probably know this too. And kind of just grew from there.
Yeah, and you make stuff that traditionally is considered like boring and not fun. You make it fun and you make it very platform contemporary. Like, would you kind of call them skits, you would say, like the conversational type videos?
Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. It's like skits. So it
Yeah,
just
and
makes it more easily digestible and
yes,
just like overall more entertaining.
easy to
Where'd you get
consume.
the idea to do some of that stuff? Because I mean, I don't really see too many people producing content in that same format. Was that an original? Did you see it somewhere or?
I'm pretty sure like in the very beginning, I wasn't making that type of content, but I very quickly started doing it. I think there was people already kind of doing that type of content, but it wasn't as popular. Like right now, it's getting way more popular because it's just more engaging.
It's really
But
good for the algorithm because it tells a story, so there's a lot of watch time.
It's
At
entertaining
least,
too.
and well,
Very-
that obviously that too,
Especially when you're
definitely.
bringing in things that people normally wouldn't search for. Like
Yeah.
I saw one of your videos on how Uber is being sued for like the wait times on disabilities or something like that. Like
Yeah.
people don't just like search for that, but you make it very entertaining.
And
And
the
the
tax
props
evasion
make
ones, the
it.
tax
Oh,
evasion
jeez.
ones.
legal tax
Oh,
And-
it
avoidance.
does
Yes.
great.
So you
calls it-
guys have heard us, those of you who've listened to a few of our episodes, you've heard us reference our group chat sometimes. Angelo's another one of the members in the group chat. And back in like February, was it, when you gained like 20K on Instagram in like a span of a few days? Like it was like
Yeah, I
February or
remember that,
March.
yeah.
It's happened multiple times, but it was crazy. Literally, I mean, we were like, February was when you had like the big blow up on it. February, March, like those, and it's crazy. I mean, you were probably like around 10K or so, and it was literally just like Danny's rocket ship. Just it was crazy, and just it makes sense because you make topics that people should know about, and it's not taught in school, different kinds of things, but you make it easily digestible, and I think that's really neat. And so I remember there was also probably last September or so, last summer, maybe last fall, that you had like an 100,000 follower day on TikTok or something like that. You want to talk about that big? I think it's some crazy number like that.
Yeah. It wasn't 100,000. I think it was like 500,000 or something. Like it was something.
I mean,
It was
crazy.
It wasn't
something-
100,000. It was 500,000.
It was
Get
like
right.
I don't think it was in a day, but it was crazy. It was like
yeah,
I blew up. Like it was just this one video on like, if I was basically saying like, if you can try to buy a used car, except now the car market's kind of crazy right now, but like yeah, it was basically that video, and that video blew up to like 10 million views, I think.
yeah.
And then I was getting like 500,000. I went from like 100,000, or I think I went from like 300,000 to like 600, and it was like 800, and then it was just, I'm not too sure, but it was it was a pure euphoria. It was crazy.
Yeah. And how much do you think that's part strategy, like you thinking like when to post, what to do in the video, or just like the content itself?
I think like when to post the hashtag is kind of just the cherry on top. Like that's really not going to make or break your success, and it's really not going to be a determining factor, to be honest. I think it was just I was staying consistent, I was posting a lot, and I was paying attention to kind of like what type of content people like, or like what is a thing, what's a topic that everybody can relate to. So it's like cars. Pretty much everybody in the US has some experience or knows about or wants to buy a car in the future or the past. Like, so I was just thought of that, and then do some kind of not easy, but like basic like money tips. Is used car is going to be better for you in the long run than a new car. And then it's just a matter of just putting it out there, just putting myself out there and letting the algorithm ride.
Yep. And what inspired you to post content back in the day when it was just like Reels didn't even exist, like 2019 early, like Corona? Because we've known it, like me and we've known each other for a while. So what inspired you to post back in the day? Was it also the Gary V? Because you said you came from Trash Talk, so I assume he was in your ear to post content as well.
Yeah, well, I think about that a lot, because that's like it was basically the origin story, I guess, of my whole social media career. But I think about it is there's a good mix of me wanting to just document my journey, because it's like, oh, I'm going to be doing this for a while. I'd love to like see my journey and like physically, I guess, or digitally, like on social media, just so I can keep track. But then also, I bet there's a part of me where it's like, oh, I'm gonna make it big. I want to flex on my friends.
And you did. I mean, you did definitely. So that clearly was a success there. For
yeah.
Sure.
So there's definitely a lot of mix of motives, but one of those.
At what point in your journey did your parents and your family and your friends start to realize that this could be a legit thing? Right? So like you're posting, you start to grow. At what point did your parents acknowledge its seriousness?
Literally never. They're nobody's taking me seriously still. That's why I'm still yeah. Like I would say like now my parents are kind of taking it seriously, but it's not because they know they see the numbers. It's more just like, this is how much I made. This is what I'm doing.
Yeah.
So now they're like, oh my gosh, really? Like that's surprising. Like, what are you doing? Like they still don't really know, which is funny because it's been like 2 years, but
and lots of money, you know. Like did you speak at FinCon, or like you were flown out there or something, right?
no, I was just invited to like a creator house. So I still had to pay for the flight. I didn't speak, but yeah, I was just at a house.
That's what's up.
Which is
Because
really cool.
you were there with like, I think like, was Humphrey Yang there? Like John.
Yeah, Humphrey
right?
was there.
Those are like
Finance.
very successful, like both, and just like content wise, like very you know, those are some big. That's cool that you got to. I think Nate O'Brien was there as well. I feel like.
Yeah, I met him. He was.
Yeah, dude.
He's like 22, which is crazy.
Crazy, literally. Yeah, I think 23 or something. But yeah, it's very interesting stuff. And it's also interesting because we like to ask typically, like, because most people we interview, you know, they're older than you. They either became a full-time, like there was a major shift or transition in there, and then we like to see like what their family thought of that and everything. And you've kind of had a unique perspective on that, because I guess they still haven't like kind of accepted it, sounds like, but obviously
I'm still not taking as seriously as
I'm sure
myself, I guess.
you're not super focused on what other people think. Clearly, I mean, I'm sure you get tons of, like, on TikTok, those videos get shown to a lot of people, so I'm sure there's a lot of interesting opinions in the comment sections.
Oh, I barely even look at the comment section. Like when you at a point where it's like looking at the comments, or kind of just like taking in all of the opinions, does more damage than good.
I'm sure.
It's
You
like
get a lot of hate on some platforms.
Oh yeah. No matter if you put yourself out there on the spotlight, you're bound to get hate.
And just based on the mathematics of millions of views, you know, you're gonna run into some people that don't like it, and just like the way I guess the organic growth works, it's gonna be shown to a certain amount of people. So some people aren't gonna like it, but that's good that you've obviously gotten over that and aren't, I'm sure, super focused on that stuff. So you are still currently in college?
Yeah, so I'm a junior at San Diego State.
What do you study?
Um, I'm an economics major right
I would
now,
hope
but
marketing.
I'm
That's
switching back to
that's
management.
okay, cool. Yeah, because I mean, you in the like you should be teaching like let alone taking them. Like you
Yeah.
seriously, man.
Have you like showed any of your classes or like done, I don't know, maybe like a project or
Yeah,
something
do
on
people like
your social
what
media?
does your friend sphere, do they all know? Like, have you gotten recognized? Like, I'm curious that kind of stuff.
Yeah, actually, I get recognized a lot more than I thought I would.
Wow,
It is
that's sick.
it's
That's
funny.
sick.
It's sometimes it's good, sometimes it's like, oh, okay. Like at first I was like, oh my God, that's awesome. Like my ego was getting boosted. I was just feeling like the man. But then at a point, it's kind of just like I'm trying to talk to somebody, and then all I hear is, "Hey, profit plug." I'm like, oh,
Well,
wow.
I dealt with that a little bit on a way smaller scale because the stuff you're posting, especially back in the days of like reselling and everything, that's not for the people in your immediate life. You know what I mean? Like you're posting
Yeah.
that to meet the strangers, the kids that are trying to get into it or that are currently doing it.
Mhm.
As well. What do you think's the most valuable thing you've gotten out of posting content?
Definitely, like just in general, the platform of having like the reach, like the potential, like I can reach like thousands of people, the click of a button, tens of thousands of people. I can just like just having a platform opens up so much more like doors of opportunity that I can do. Like now that I can if I want to start a podcast too, I have a platform for that. I can do a YouTube channel. I could reach out to brands, stuff like that. Like there's just so many more opportunities that come of having like a platform on social media. That is just definitely like one of my biggest accomplishments.
Yeah, and
Didn't
I
you already
like
start the
that.
YouTube channel?
I have it. There's nothing posted,
Just
but it's
post the
out there.
old reels. Do you know the Young Entrepreneurs Arcade? You've heard of
No.
him? So he's huge. He got like 280 million views on a short before that I think was
Oh
just a
wow.
repurpose. He's big on TikTok as well. I'm surprised you don't know him. But yeah, like just post all those old shorts. Like some of them are gonna
No,
go
yeah,
crazy.
I definitely should.
Because it's interesting the way shorts work is it's the same way it just gets shown to random people because they're
Yeah.
just scrolling on that.
And YouTube Shorts are going crazy right now. I think they have been for a while. Because YouTube's
They
pushing
have.
a lot
They're
harder.
pushing them hard. Yeah, they feel the
They'll be
pressure
on
to
your
TikTok.
on like recommended videos for your next video. Could be like when you're watching, they put shorts on the recommended now.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
crazy because I never scroll just through YouTube Shorts. Do any of you guys do that?
I don't realize I'm doing it, but sometimes I I know I'm watching a short, but then all of a sudden like 15
I don't
minutes.
even watch many shorts to be honest, because I think a lot of like the big creators that are already established, they don't think about it too much. They're just focused on like their current schedule and everything with
Yeah.
there and just making separate
Well,
channels and stuff.
shorts are literally just it's just TikTok videos. Like it's
Yeah.
everything comes from TikTok and then it goes to Reels and then shorts. Like so it's like I'm on TikTok. So
Yeah.
I'm
Oh
not
yeah.
really on
So
shorts.
do you consider yourself a TikToker? Like is that do you wake up, do you think how can I make the content that can bang most on TikTok, or do you also think Instagram as well?
Yeah, well, I never call myself a TikToker, I guess. And I'm not, and that's probably the first time I've heard someone call me that.
Okay,
I
interesting.
I say I'm a content creator because
Yeah,
I am
yeah.
trying to focus on other platforms. And I guess TikToker kind of just it's too of a small, like content creator is more broad. And I feel like this space, this kind of like career, I guess this field is just way bigger and way more like than just TikToker.
Right.
Yeah.
So if someone came up to you on the street and asked you what you did for work, you would say what, content creation?
Yeah, it's actually weird. I'm trying to figure out what I say because, like, yeah, when people go or like talk to me, I'm like, yeah, what do you do? Because they'll be like, yeah, what you do today? I'll be like, oh, I work. So I never really know what to say. I usually just be like, I create content around finance. So like, I'm still trying to figure out what's the best way to say it, but that's pretty much what I say. It's my go-to.
Social media expert.
And idea
That's on my email. That's my email signature. Social media expert.
idea generation, how does that work? Do you have like notes where you write down ideas, or do you often create stuff on the spot, or how does that work?
Yeah, so I'm pretty much I like trying to come up with ideas just throughout the day. Like usually a lot of my best ideas, like a lot of the ones that have gone super viral, like the OG ones, is when I was just like walking or running. So that's kind of where like I'm like thinking, I'm trying to like it's kind of like my not like alone time, but like I like to, it's kind of like my another sort uh another form of like meditation for me, like running or walking. So when I'm doing that and I'm thinking of something, I'll literally just be like, hey Siri, create a new note, and then I'll just do my idea there. So that's pretty much where I like try to get ideas. It's pretty much when I'm not actually physically working, is when I'm trying to do nothing.
I could
Yeah.
vouch for that though. Running for me is a huge creative space as well.
Mm-hmm.
The only issue is when you're running, it's not super easy to document those creative ideas. But obviously you
Yeah.
manage
Just gotta
okay.
pull the notes out.
Yeah. I'm like one of those like those cliche entrepreneurs with like the voice recorder. That's kind of like what I do.
That's fine.
Yeah.
How
and
many
so
how
most
many
of your-
hours go ahead, Miles.
most
Go
of
ahead,
your
Miles.
videos are 30 seconds to a minute, I'd assume.
They're 30 seconds and lower, and that's just
Oh,
because Instagram Reels hasn't they don't let
yeah.
me post higher than 3 seconds
Weird.
yet,
Yeah. And so
which is makes no sense.
how long do those typically take to film and edit?
Filming doesn't really take that long because I script, and I got like a pretty good system for filming, I guess. So like the actual filming probably takes like 15 minutes, maybe less. Editing will take longer, maybe like 20 to 30 minutes. But the process that takes the longest is creating ideas, is kind of just coming up with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you do it on the computer, right? Because you have a good camera now, and then you just put it on the computer and chop it up.
No, I just use my iPhone.
Oh, dude, for some reason I totally thought you had like a really good camera and everything.
I
It's
wish.
even more. So many people out there are worrying about the nicest cameras, the nicest microphone, and you're out here putting up 10 million plus views on
Yeah.
single videos, not worried about any of that stuff.
Yeah, I feel like that's a lot of people have like I guess like a big misconception of creating content. You need like the best camera, you need the
Yeah,
best
it's
mic,
so
you need
false.
the
Like
best mic drop.
everyone
Yeah.
Miles talks about
that's
that all the time.
everyone that's big started out just using their iPhone and stuff like that because they weren't doing it to get bit for the that's blanket statement.
Yeah.
But like, dude, when I was starting out posting, I didn't care at all. I still like, I guess, kind of fancy it, but as I say this with a super fancy microphone here, I
super
can't
fancy,
do it.
yeah.
Like back in the day, we were just posting pictures of books like in the dorm rooms and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just like what Gary Vee says all the time, like you just need to start posting everything.
Yeah,
But then also it's like,
Lord.
yeah, and it's just like nowadays on TikTok, especially, is like you don't need the best camera. Like if you just scroll through your For You page and you just look through the viral videos, it could literally just be a rinky-dink phone, and it's that's it. Like it just needs the content. It just needs to be funny, engaging, like, or entertaining or educating. Like it just needs to be good content. It doesn't really matter like the quality, really.
Yeah, and
Now
I
you-
mean iPhone cameras are so good now too.
Yeah,
Like,
iPhone
most
cameras
people have just
are
really good in
yeah.
general.
Like I
And
know
that-
people who have like 6-figure, 7-figure businesses just straight up just on their iPhone. So it's like it's cool.
That all translates also back to people when they try to start reselling online. Like I was driving with a
true.
friend last night who was like, man, like I see what you're doing on Amazon. Like I want to get started. And then I was like, man, so create the account and get started. And he was like, but I don't have like an accountant. I don't know what to do for taxes.
Yeah.
And I was like,
Make
"Dude,
some
you
make
gotta-
some money.
They
first.
always bring up the LLC.
Yeah.
Like do I need an LLC?
I know, and I was
I'm
like, dude, don't worry about that. Just start, and then you can figure all that out later. You got to just fucking create the account and dive into it.
And yeah, like you learn to drive by driving. Garrett, you can learn how to swim if you decide to start swimming. You'll learn to
Yeah,
sell on
I don't know how to
Amazon.
swim, everyone.
Buy some. Oh, by the way, marathon today, so we haven't mentioned.
Miles, your mic unplugged, I think.
I know
Yeah.
it's worth it for the
Oh, there you go.
the
Yeah, Garrett, big marathon guy, 26 miles. What was your time?
A disappointing 3:45,
That's not
3:48, I think it
disappointing. What are you
was.
saying?
Yeah,
That's
they
not
let it-
disappointing.
Isn't
Nah,
anything under 4 hours like really good?
It was so I've talked about this on social before. I had committed a bunch of like 6-7 months ago that I wanted to run a sub 3:30, right? And so that was my plan. And I put a strategy together. I've been training for the sub 3:30. today I was on track pacing properly. So you have to pace essentially below 8-minute mile throughout the entire marathon to do sub 30, right? And so I was
That's
through
crazy.
like mile 20, 21, pacing around 7:53. I was feeling good. I was feeling fine, right? My knee was holding up. And come like 22 or 23, my calf started to pull. And then like 23 and a half, whatever, it just yanked up my leg, and that was it. I ended up hobbling my way the last 2 miles, and I ended up
He-
finishing
he
like
made it.
3:48.
He'll be back in the warehouse tomorrow. We're not
Dang.
missing any days this Q4. That's for sure. And even though Garrett, he didn't finish strong, the Amazon business was still working.
No, he did finish
24/7.
strong. I feel like most
No,
people
Because-
probably would have quit after that.
What? I mean,
It's
yeah,
actually
we're not
funny you say
judging
that
our
because
viewers.
and so Dylan's gonna be a guest on our podcast soon enough. But while I was running, Dylan got word of a hot bolo item, an OA
Oh,
item.
from yours
And so
truly. I saw.
yep, from Miles, I have to admit from
Wow.
Miles. And as the day was progressing, he was, managing, obviously meeting up with me or whatever, but he was also purchasing this OA lead throughout the entire day. So we spent like tens of thousands, a lot of money while I was running. And so he told me when he
Jeez.
met up with me at the end of the race, he was like, yeah, I just made us like a couple $1,000. I was like, yo, sick.
That's
So
awesome.
that made me feel a little bit better.
Little boost of confidence. That's
Oh, yeah.
nice.
But kind of getting back to your story, Angelo, you talked about, having these creative ideas throughout the entire day. Do you have a difficult time separating and kind of turning your mind off to not try and produce these ideas and just being Angelo? Like, how do you differentiate between coming up with ideas, thinking about the business and just kind of kicking it?
Yeah. Well, that's kind of like an everyday struggle. And I feel like any entrepreneur,
Yeah.
anybody is gonna have that problem, to be like, that's kind of just life. Like you kind of have a balance of things. And that's something that I'm definitely still struggling working on today. There are like ups and downs for sure, but I trying to like figure out like my schedule to like try to help myself out. Like the first 3 hours of my day is just for myself. So that's kind of when I work out, I read books, I meditate. Yeah, I read that one, but like, yeah, that's kind of just like where it's just like me time. And then from that time to like afternoon, that's grind. I just work, put my head down on my desk, and I work, record, do whatever I need. And then I try to not work after like 7. I try to, but yeah, it's kind of just like it's still a thing that I'm still trying to figure out myself.
That's
It's
good.
interesting though, because
I just it's good that
um,
you delegate like 3 hours in the morning every day to yourself. That's definitely something I want to implement.
Yeah, because like if I don't have that, I'm gonna go crazy. Like entrepreneurship is no joke. It is not a walk in the park, and especially like if you're doing social media where you're kind of in that like the internet spotlight, it's more stressful than people think.
well, I think with your line of work specifically, there's more like gray area around your green hours, so to speak, right? So like your income producing hours are essentially all up in your head, right? Whereas
Mhm.
say like someone who's buying away, like your green hours are sourcing or prepping products or whatever, right? So like a CPA, their
Yeah,
green hours are working, right? But for you, it's just all mental, right? So that's why I was
yeah,
asking, because it's super interesting in terms of trying to manage that.
yeah. Well, that is kind of like also why I do spend like a good amount of time just focus on myself, trying to like better my mind and my body, because as you mentioned, the kind of like the calmer my mind is and the clearer I can think, the more money I make. So kind of just like the more level-headed person, the more successful I'll be as an entrepreneur. So it's kind of like all throughout the day, I don't really turn it off specifically. Like I'm trying to, I'll come if an idea comes around, like comes up, I'll write it down immediately. And then I'm always kind of like analyzing my thoughts, kind of meditating, just like, oh,
Yeah.
like why am I thinking this? Why am I thinking that? It's also just like it's just a kind of a balance of things that I do just throughout the day.
Is there any specific turning point you had from when, so like obviously when you started, you said you wanted to just like document what you were doing so you could look back on it at some point. Was there a turning point, a day or moment, maybe a video that you remember where you realized like, holy shit, like this could turn into like a real career for me?
Well, it's probably when I when I made that first viral video on TikTok, but it was interesting because it was about what money laundering was. But it hit
I remember that. I think
yeah, it had like millions of views, and I was just like, whoa, this just happened. I got millions of views. Like, what else can I do? Like now I'm like kind of like living a dream of like I felt like I was already a content creator at that point, but
right.
it was like yeah, millions of views, and I was like, oh, maybe I should keep trying it. But it never really kind of clicked that I could make it into like a career business until I started like making money from social media.
Yeah, and speaking of that, like how do you plan on scaling in terms of what platforms, what income streams, like what are your main focuses right now?
So my main focus right now is low key just trying to get back into the groove of working. Cause like when I was when I didn't have all this like followers or kind of like income or like the income coming in, I was like grinding like all day long. I was like super focused. But now that I have more money coming in, I'm like kind of complacent, I guess, like more comfortable. So I'm trying to work on that. But then also trying to go into other platforms such as like YouTube, because that's more of like a end game type of goal for me, I guess, because that is way more passive income and I can do more and help more people through YouTube. So that's kind of my goal for now.
So we're gonna put you on the spot. What's been holding you back from YouTube? Because I mean, that's been something that you've been talking about
It's
intending
been
to do
something I've been
for
talking
quite some
about.
time.
Yeah. It's kind of
like-
just
for way
like,
too long. Yeah, for way
yeah,
too long.
no, I have no excuse. It's honestly a lot of like I forget what it's called, like decision paralysis and then imposter syndrome and then just like
Yeah, bro,
personal experience, personal stuff.
You got here by just pressing record and then iterating, figuring stuff. You know what I mean?
I have no excuse. I
Yeah,
have
like
absolutely no excuse.
we all got here by just starting and then figuring out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Dan is going through that same sort of
Oh
scenario.
yeah, we
No,
trust
I'm
me.
on
We're
Twitter.
on
What do you
Danny
mean? I'm
here
on
first.
Twitter. I like
Danny,
Twitter.
yeah,
Yeah,
Danny, zero to 1,000 followers on Twitter and like
I got 1,000 followers in like a week on Twitter.
yeah.
Really? Dude,
Right.
I've had like 300 followers on Twitter. I don't know. I just talk to myself basically on Twitter.
Twitter's great. It's a lot of like degenerates, but everyone has money on it. But
It is an
it's a great
interesting.
time.
I love Twitter. I love Twitter. But
The
yeah,
IQ is a lot higher on Twitter.
yeah.
Danny
I
loves
like
the
it.
Twitter spaces. He loves the Twitter spaces.
I love Twitter Space too. I really like Twitter. I really like Twitter.
And you utilize it really well for Instagram posts too.
Yeah, that's the only reason why I'm guessing I'm posting on Twitter because no one follows me. No one follows me or anything. I've talked to myself.
I think I got my whole Twitter format for Instagram posts from you. I think I did. Because that's the only reason why I use Twitter as well. I post the tweet, screenshot it, and format it, whatever. But that's the only purpose Twitter serves me. And I think you were
Pretty
one of the
much.
accounts that I noticed it from. And I think you used to do on Instagram the tile format, right?
The tile format.
Oh, swipe files. What like you swipe, you say a couple things and you swipe across it. Oh no.
No, so like-
every other. My bad.
Yeah,
The
and your
read all-
profile. If you look at
the
your
read
profile,
all-
Oh,
it's-
yeah.
I think
yeah.
I got that from you as well. Either you or Brendan.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Miles's friend Brendan.
I was doing that for a while, but recently I've kind of given up on trying to be pretty on my profile picture.
I mean, fair enough. You get to a certain point where you're too cool for that, I guess.
Oh yeah, and stuff's
No.
clearly working.
Yeah, no.
It's clear what you're doing is clearly working.
What's been
Yeah.
the biggest high and low point of like this past, I guess this past year, because this is when it's already happened.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of personal stuff because again, like for me, entrepreneurship has been really stressful for me, just in like personally. So I guess the high is just seeing, all of my work and all of like my struggles like pay off. Like I remember like months and days where I was losing money. I was creating content. Nobody was watching my content. I would get hate comments, or I would just feel like I'm just going in circles. And I just felt like I was just nothing. Like I was doing nothing, doing all this work. I was like killing myself for nothing. So then it's really awesome just to look back and be like, wow, I came from losing a bunch of money, came from just so like endless nights of just working to now, I built like this platform about this social media presence, and I'm like still reselling, still doing what I love to do. And so that's definitely just a high point that I look back, I'm like, oh, nice. But I guess I think that like every day. So I'm just grateful all around. But I guess the low point is just this guess the stress that comes with social media and everything. Because I personally hate social media. Like if I was not a creator myself, I'd probably delete TikTok. I delete like Instagram. I delete a lot of this stuff. Like I don't think it's good for me in general. So I guess that's kind of just like it's kind of just like double-edged sword there.
And when you were going through those like points in the beginning where you said you were going in circles or you felt like you were going in circles and maybe no one was watching it, like how did you get through that day to day, grinding all these hours away and then seeing like not a lot of views or not a lot of traction on your posts?
It was a lot of just trying everything. So it was mainly in the beginning of just I was still documenting, but it took me like 8 months to get like 600 followers on Instagram. But it was kind of just like I had to appreciate the journey. I had to kind of take that goal of like, oh, I want to post just to make money or just post to flex. I was posting for myself. I had to focus on that. I was posting just so I can see my progress and to keep track and kind of keep myself accountable. So I had to really focus on that. And then I was pretty much like in the start of my journey, I was trying like drop shipping. I was going to do social media
You've
marketing.
tried a ton of stuff. Yeah,
I
man.
tried a ton of stuff,
Exactly. And you have to find stuff that
Yeah.
works. You know what I mean? You have, because that's the thing. There's people listening to this right now that have thought about starting Amazon for a while, and you got to try it because it might not be right for you, but the quicker you check something off the list that isn't right
Mhm.
for you and try stuff, the quicker you'll find something that is right for you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you just got to stir the pot. There's going to be one thing that works out for you, and it really only takes one thing to get the ball rolling. So you really got to stir the pot and kind of, capitalize on whatever you have. So that's kind of what I did. I tried like everything, and I tried a bunch of other content ideas or a bunch of other content styles until, one thing clicked, and then everything started clicking. So I kind of just had to always have that mindset of, all right, I'm failing now, but tomorrow will be better. Tomorrow will be better, or this is gonna be worth it. So
And
it's kind of just like that, the optimism.
yeah, one thing I've noticed you've done really well, at least my personal opinion, watching you from afar here, you've really doubled down on stuff well when things are working, whether that be obviously
Oh yeah, big
the
time.
video format, the topics, and all that. And that's really paid off for me and my stuff, buying more of the same products, different types of things, like posting a lot of the same tweets that have performed well and all that. And so I think that's definitely a good thing that you've seen that, when something works, and just internet based stuff in general, like the internet likes a lot of the same stuff, just keep, doubling down on stuff. You can really do some good things quickly. And you're only 20, right? Are you 21 yet?
Yeah, I'm only 20
Exactly, man. And we've only been at this
When do you
for
turn 21?
2-3 years.
in March.
Oh, nice. My birthday's in March.
Hey,
Oh,
Yeah, March. But yeah,
And in the grand scheme of life, only being at something, 2-3 years, like really isn't much.
yeah.
Had great success so far, and I think definitely continue to. But I kind of already asked the question about the future, I guess you could say. But for someone out there specifically, and just whether it be reselling, whether it be being a content creator, what are your big tips of advice for beginners who want to get into it?
I I would say, yeah, we kind of already answered that too. Is you literally just have to try
Yeah,
everything and anything that you're even like a little bit interested in. So like even just in general, like just for reading, like anything that you're interested in that piques your curiosity like, at all, read it. If there's any side hustle, if that be drop shipping, if that's eBay reselling, if that's Amazon, if it's anything, you should try it. You should immerse yourself in the topic. You should just go out and try. You never know if you'll like it or you're good at it unless you try. And a lot of people get stuck doing the same thing or like the same job that they hate, mainly because they just don't try. They stick to one path. And you can do that. It's fine. But like, if you want to kind of like find your passion, you really just got to try everything.
that's a good point.
So
That's a good
don't,
way to put it.
yeah. So don't be afraid of failure. You're going to fail no matter what. Even if you go on the traditional path, you're going to be tons of failure. Failure is inevitable, but it's what you do about it and bounce back that kind of separates you from other people.
All right, very well said. So
You heard it from the man himself.
definitely.
Yeah,
I
failure's
think that's a
failure's literally the greatest thing ever.
point to end up on then. So where can the people find you on socials?
So yeah, you can find me at Profit Plug. I think my Instagram is 2Gs and then TikTok is 1G.
Oh, TikTok's only 1G?
Yeah, I got it fast on TikTok, but Instagram no.
Smart man.
So, but if you just look up Profit Plug, I'll pop up.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's a ton of fun. It'll pop up definitely. You guys ought to dig into some of his content too, for sure. Because one, it'll be fun to watch, and you'll definitely learn some, stuff that's important, finance, all that different stuff. But very good, man. Thank you for coming on. We really appreciate it. To all
Thanks
our
for having
viewers.
me.
Yeah, thank you guys. We make sure to be liking and subscribing and all that, and make sure to go check out Angelo's stuff. We will see you guys on Friday for another episode.